There's many things you can do in Star Citizen. You could salvage derelict ships, mine out in the middle of an asteroid belt, or hunt down a target for the bounty on their head. And for everything you want to do, there's always a perfect ship to specialize in that task. But for the majority of the time, you might not have an idea of what you're going to get up to, and that's where a daily driver comes in. A daily driver is the ship you find yourself flying in between doing any of those specialized tasks. A ship you feel most comfortable in and meets most of your needs the majority of the time. My name's Dead Leader, and I'm going to show you my top daily drivers. If you're thinking, this video sounds familiar, then you'd be correct, as I made my first best daily driver ships video just over a year ago when I first made this channel. So I thought, to celebrate a year of making Star Citizen content on YouTube, I'd take a look at updating this list, since over this year, much has changed both in Star Citizen and in my own personal taste and needs in a daily driver. My last video focused on the best ships to fly solo without blowing up. But since back then, it was the meta to go from bunker to bunker without having the mission to loot them. Also, the only way for criminals to clear their crime stat was to raid the bunkers and hack it away, so it was very common that your ship would be left undefended while you were deep underground, unable to get to your ship in time before it would be blown up. But since then, changes have been made so that if you're on a mission there, it's very unlikely anyone else would make a visit unannounced, and if they did, the bunker's defense would help defend you. Along with that, they've also introduced new ships such as the A1 and C1 Spirit, the Sulan and F8C Lightning. They've also brought new gameplay to older ships like tractor beams and added new popular mission types such as salving missions, all which drastically change what you might be looking for in a daily driver compared to a year ago. What everyone might be looking for in a daily driver will be different from person to person, but here's my picks and the reasons why I chose them in no particular order. Banu Defender was one of the most suggested ships for me to check out in the comments of the last time I did one of these videos, and for good reason. It's a super maneuverable light fighter that still has a usable interior and crew beds. It's easy to get in and out of, although you will probably want to swap out its shield and bespoke weapons that come with it. And once you do, you will have a formidable fighter that's able to take on anything you throw at it. With a size 2 shield slot, it has 3 times the amount of shielding as your average light fighter, and it has a large enough fuel tank for its size 1 quantum drive to take you across the system and back without needing to refuel with the fastest drive attached. Along with that, it's one of the most unique looking and delightful sounding ships in the game, so it always stands out as its only Banu ship currently flyable in the game. It's also the only ship that actually bleeds when it's damaged too. Another popular pick in the comments of the last video was the Constellation Taurus. It's taken the position of the Andromeda for this list for daily driver. With the larger cargo bay and tractor beam finally being added, the Taurus has the best tractor beam to cargo bay positioning out of any ship in the game, and with the addition of extremely valuable cargo being found on enemy ships in game, if you're in a Taurus, you're always going to be able to take anything you find along with your travels, quickly, safely, and without ever needing to leave the safety of your ship. On top of that, it has decent guns and missiles to do some damage, and a huge size 3 shield slot to be able to take any hits thrown at it with ease. Its only weak side is it doesn't have the largest fuel tank, meaning if you attach the fastest quantum drive available to its size 2 slot, sure, it'll make it to Microtech to Arc Warp and back, but you'll be running on the fumes of an oily rag by the time you arrive, so it's likely best to use a more fuel-efficient drive and sacrifice the speed for distance. The F8C Lightning is the only ship in this list or the previous list without an internal cabin you can walk around in. I normally wouldn't include a fighter without some internal space to move around and store things in, but since the initial video, they've added internal storage to all fighter ships even if they don't have an internal cabin space. You can access it on the same menu used to enter the ship itself. This makes fighters much more of a versatile option to use as a daily driver, with the F8C Lightning in particular being a great option as it's the most powerful single-seat fighter in the game, with an insane amount of firepower and 2 size 2 shield slots, giving you twice the amount of shield HP as the previously mentioned Defender. and has a comparable fuel tank size for its size 1 quantum drive, making the F8C Lightning fast at getting to where the action is in any given time. And if you're using ballistic weapons, then you'll be stopping at landing bay pads for a chance to refuel often enough anyway, that you'll never be impeded by its capacity. And speaking of ballistic weapons, while most fighters often go for a purely energy weapon build as to not fear running out of ammunition, with F8C's 8 weapon slots, you can afford to assign some to ballistic for the higher damage, while also having a decent amount of energy weapons still attached to keep you in the fight in case you do run low. And it's for all these reasons the F8C managed to make its way onto my daily drivers list. Origin 400i. This is actually the only ship to remain on my list of top daily drivers from the previous list, and admittedly it's largely for vanity reasons. Personally, I think it looks gorgeous, and over the past year they have fixed up the few visual hiccups that had plagued it for a long time and had been irritating me to no end. But it's not entirely just a vanity pick. It's got a monster size 3 shield slot to keep you and your cargo safe, and a size 2 quantum drive slot with a large enough fuel tank that you're able to equip the fastest quantum drive you can buy and still be able to make several trips across the system and back without needing to refuel. Got a decent cargo bay for drug smuggling or keeping a vehicle on board, and excels at everything other than combat. So for me, if I'm doing anything other than ship-to-ship combat that requires me to arrive quick and reliably, the 400i always makes sure I get there safely. While Cutlass Black still holds a special place in my heart and is such an iconic design for Star Citizen, the newly released Spirit C1, I have to say, beats it out in this list. The key roles for the Cutlass/Spirit series type ships is its ease of use, open space in the back, and newly implemented tractor beams. And currently, I had to give this position to the C1 Spirit purely because the tractor beam has a way better placement. You can easily tractor things into and off the ship with ease, as you have a clear view of the outside that can transition into the cargo bay where you can place or remove anything off the cargo grid. Where the Cutlass Black, while it does have a similar position of its tractor beam, sadly it can't get a view into the cargo bay area, meaning you can move things outside of space around, but sadly can't get it into the ship using the tractor beam alone. You'd still have to get out of the tractor turret and go and manually move it with a handheld tractor beam, at which point, what's even the purpose of having it on the ship anyway? Pisces Rescue. Now, most people wouldn't think about a Pisces when it comes to a daily driver. Since it's only classed as a snub ship, it only has a pair of size 1 pea shooters, a measly size 1 shield, and a size 1 quantum drive with a less than amazing fuel tank size that can get you across the system, but only with a slow engine that you'll need to refuel after a long distance jump. But what the C8R lacks in performance, it makes up in some unique ways. The C8R comes with a med bed to heal any injuries you may sustain. It has a fridge that usually comes stocked with a variety of med pens, foods, and drinks, but it seems to be missing in this patch for some reason. It's speedy, handles really well in atmosphere, is super direct and quick to get in and out of, has a super quick claim time, and it can be claimed from a planetary landing pad, unlike most ships. So if you're not necessarily expecting to make it out alive, or view your ship as being more a throwaway, only requiring it to be a resource to help support you at your destination, then the C8R is rather a handy ship. Now, I have a couple ships as honorable mentions, such as the Drake Corsair. It makes the honorable mentions list this time around as it has a heap of guns, a really good sized cargo bay, a size 3 shield slot, even longer range than the 400i with its fastest size 2 quantum drive installed, and some great extra features like an armory and handy elevator to enter from the front of the ship or even gain access to the roof. But the only reason it didn't make it onto my main list is because it isn't the best at handling in atmosphere and even in space. And it's very common for missile damage to pierce its shield and take out one of its rather large wings that can leave you limping in space, flying in circles. This very easily could be the perfect daily driver for you though. I've just personally had too many instances where I've had to wrestle with an out-of-control Corsair over the past year that I find myself usually opting for something a little easier and more reliable to handle. Brand new Gataxulan also makes the honorable mentions list. It looks cool as hell and is certainly one of the most unique ships in the game. It has an okay quantum fuel capacity, a pair of pretty measly size 1 shields, 3 okay size 3 weapon slots. It's a bit hard to take off and land with the weird view that you get, and the ship's buttons are a tad too small, making it hard to hit them easily when you're trying to access anything. I feel like it might become more useful once we have cargo containers in game, since the outside 6 SU of storage could make it at least have some significant storage space that you could access for loot and gear. But the main reason it didn't make the main list is really it's just a starter ship. Not great at anything, but also not the worst. But it is pretty zippy and yeah, looks cool as hell. So yeah, those are my picks for best daily drivers. Let me know in the comments below what yours are, and thanks to all of you who may have watched any of my content over the past year. It's been a blast talking and getting to know so many of you, and hey, if you've enjoyed my content at all over the past year and aren't yet subscribed, maybe consider liking and subscribing now. That way you won't miss any new videos I put out, and it really helps me grow the channel. Alright, as usual, my name's Dead Leader, and I'll see you in the verse. Space. It's cold and it's lonely. But you don't need to be with Dead Leader merchandise.
Merchandising.
With Dead Leader merch, you can represent Star Citizen without looking like a dog.
Merchandising.
Everyone will think it's for some sick band, and if they ask what Dead Leader is, you can just say, you probably wouldn't know them, and they'll think you're sick.
Merchandising.
So grab your Dead Leader merch today and support your favorite content creator. Me, Dead Leader.
Merchandising.
Thank you to my Patreon members who help support me make content like this video. Click the link on screen or in the description below if you'd like to also join my Wall of Legends. Thanks.